What's up, everybody? So, a quick announcement about today's show. Andrew, was having a bunch of internet issues that occurred throughout the interview. So there was a lot of starting and stopping. But what ended up happening is that we would kind of riff on it. So it became part of the fun. So the way I edited this together is I include some of that banter. Now I don't include the actual tech glitches themselves. Don't worry, you're not going to be listening to an interview and then all of a sudden you're going to hear me go, hey man, you're frozen. Nothing like that. We edited all that out and filled in some bumper music. But just so you know, that's what's going on. I just thought the banter sort of became part of it and sort of became part of the vibe of the whole talk. And it sort of played into our back and forth. So I decided to piece it together that way, just so you know what's going on. It sort of became the third chair, if you will, a sort of blessing in disguise almost, because we had fun with it, and it makes sense, especially for a December episode. Enjoy today's show. Announcement over. Episode 117, Andrew Saxena. You've heard that name before on this show. Andrew does the music for 1000. Andrew Saxena is a filmmaker, musician, actor, and podcaster. Andrew and I met a few years back in the Lefty creator space in San Pedro. He was a huge part of Left It Wall, Frank Azurri, Termination Fee, and there's another project we're working on that has to do with cats. Also, we've become close friends over the past few years. This episode is everything that 1000 holds dear. Please welcome to the show, Andrew Saxena. Andrew, so I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'll bring it up on mic because this could be a turning point in the podcast. I'm worried that I've been mispronouncing your name this whole time.
No, man. How do you say it?
I say it Saxena.
Okay, all right. Most of my life it's been Saxena.
Right.
You know? My life is.
I've heard a couple other people put it that way, and I'm like, whoa, am I?
It was always. I always got sex growing up, you know, because it's like you get the S and the X and a vowel.
Yeah.
But it's actually it's like Saxena. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I've never pronounced it correctly, you know. When I went to India, it's like such a common name. It's kind of like Johnson. So I'd see like it on doctor's signs. And so Dr. Saxena. So you'd hear it. And I'm like, oh, that's how you say it.
So was it like one of those we're all related somehow last names, or is it one of those like, no, it's just a super common last name?
I mean, I think it's super common, but aren't we all related to Ron? Like, we get down to it, we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
no, that's.
I've got a cousin, last name Kumar, who married a wife, and his wife's name is Saxena. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, I'm keeping that name. Like, for some reason, it was a stronger name. So, like, now that whole family is Saxenas when they used to be Kumar.
Yeah. Well, aren't you hyphenating now? But by the way, everybody, Drew got married this year.
I am, you know, because I am progressive, right? So I'm progressing the name. I hyphenated, and my last name is Saxena Avinia.
Okay.
Because my partner's, Vanessia's last name is Avinia. Yeah. And I was all hyped. We're at the courthouse doing it. And I'm like, all right, Vanessia, it's your turn. And she straight kept her name. She was like, you know what? Like, screw your name, Andrew. I'm still Lavinia.
Wow. So you did it and she didn't. I mean, it is a pain, and it's kind of a pain. Like all your, if you have any like airline miles, or if you have any, like everything, like all your memberships, like everything is just sort of a pain.
Right.
That's why
I did it for her and she just didn't care. So I'm not going to change my IMDb, I'm still Andrew Saxena.
Okay. All right. So you're just going to be a tough guy to find.
That's right.
But it's all right. All right. So Saxena is sort of like the English adopted thing going on, but Saxena was almost closer to the right way.
You were the closest. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll stick with it. I'll continue to be, because like some people just choose to say my name like the proper way.
Placone, or what is the?
Yeah, it would be like Placone, it'd be like oh nay, and which is fine, but I'm certainly not going to like correct people or whatever. I mean, Placone's just way easier when we're speaking English. But some people like do just say it the proper way or closer to it, and other people think they're like making a mistake. It's like, no, they're saying it right technically, but whatever.
Ron Placone.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll stick with it then. I'm glad we got to the bottom of this. So for those of you who are not in the know, although I'd imagine if you're a regular listener, you know this already, Andrew does the music for 1000.
That's right. Thank you guys. Hope it's not getting too boring after over 100 episodes, right?
Yeah. No, it's great. And this is the 3rd December. So I wasn't sure when. I mean, I knew obviously you'd be a December episode, one of the friend-episodes, if you will. And but I didn't know which December. Like I had no idea. Like I even wondered, like, is Drew going to be like the last one, like Drew's number 1000 or something? But then I thought about the year we had with Termination Fee and just everything else, and I thought, I feel like this has got to be the year. Like this has been such a wild packed year for us.
It's been an interesting year, and it's about interesting people. The podcast, right? Yeah.
So
I stayed boring intentionally, Ron, to be your most boring friend, to keep off the podcast. But then when you asked me to join the play, I couldn't help but make my life a little more interesting. So
man, so yeah, we'll get into some of this year, but first, I'll get some of the origin story, man. You were born in Riverside, California.
Yes.
And
no river.
No, there's no river in Riverside. There's a lot of the water names in California are misleading.
Right.
Like,
I learned about Toluca Lake from your joke.
Yeah.
Or no, from the movie.
Yeah. That's in the movie. There's a line about it in the movie. But that this podcast will come out before that movie does.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right. So, well, tell me about growing up in Riverside.
You know, it was a weird little conservative town. Weird and conservative, right? So I found refuge in punk rock. There was like a good little punk scene. You know about that too, Ron. I think you came up with punk too.
It kept me out of trouble, I think.
Yeah, it did. Me too. And it was also like this thing that helped you find a home and a place, because the town was like sports, conservative. You know, my parents were gay and they had to hide it.
Yeah.
So punk was like this. Okay, now we can take control of our style. You know, we can take in art that's like feels like how we feel. It's uncomfortable, and it's meant to have you ask questions about the world, you know? So
what was some of the early stuff you got into, and how old are we talking?
I'm talking like 6th to 7th grade. Because
Okay.
I was always into, like, my parents were into rock and roll, so they listened to K-Rock. That was our local station, you know?
Mhm.
And they were like Blink-182 fans. So I was into pop punk because of them. But then I went down the most traditional path of like Sex Pistols, right? And I remember my dad listening to it and being put off by it, and like, how can anyone listen to this? And I'm like, oh, like it kind of sparked me a little, like, hey, if it's bad for my dad, maybe it's good for me. I don't know. I was an asshole.
That's interesting. It was like the first wave that you really connected with.
Yeah, and then now listening to the Sex Pistols, it's like they almost sound like classic rock. You know, they're compared to like the Subhumans, or like I got into like Exploited. I got into like Crass, like, you know, and it was like, okay, like these are a little more political, right? These are actually saying something that encourages protest instead of criticizing fascism and then becoming fascists, like the Sex Pistols.
Well, John did.
John, not the rest. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying it like we know each other. Like, oh well, John, he really worried about it. But yeah, John Lydon went completely nuts.
Yes.
But I mean, he also had a lot of hardship, right? I mean, like, isn't his wife really sick or so?
She might have passed. And he was like the primary caregiver, I think, right? Yeah.
So I mean but I don't know. He went like full MAGA, and the last article I saw about him was he was having a hard time because he decided he was just gonna bring a bunch of squirrels home.
Oh,
like he started herding squirrels and keeping them in his house. And they kept biting him while he slept, and in particular, they kept biting him on his dick.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like Johnny Rotten was in the news because he had a bunch of squirrel bites on his dick, and I don't know who sent that press release out. It was probably just him.
Yeah,
but It's like that was the last time he was in the news.
Maybe he's getting ready to go back on the road because the other Pistols won't tour with him because of his politics. He's like, I'll get the squirrel band together, you know? Once I can get them to stop biting my dick, we can hit the road, man.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go down that road, what's your take on Pill? Do you like Pill? You don't like Pill?
I have heard like a couple songs, and I've always meant to get into them, but it doesn't like strike me right away as interesting.
Same.
Yeah.
I could never get into it because I think so. My trajectory was like maybe a little different, but like I mean, it all kind of you end up in the same place at the end. But like for me, I got into Rancid and Bad Religion, like the Epitaph stuff. But then from there, I got into like the 80s hardcore stuff, and I got really into Discord Records. Like it was like Epitaph Records and Discord Records was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is in the world. And I got really into that stuff. And I thought that punk rock was this like weird mystical entity that existed in Southern California, London, New York, and Washington, D.C. And that was it. And someday I would get to attend a punk rock show. And so when I discovered that Pittsburgh had a punk scene and like everywhere did, it kind of blew my mind. And I remember I had this little garage band at the time, and I went up to them and I said, okay, we're a punk band now. And they go, okay, great. What does that mean? I go, well, we're going to speed up all of our songs and you got to listen to this stuff. And I was into like 80s Teen Idols, Minor Threat, all that stuff. So by the time I got around to the Sex Pistols, I was really disappointed because of how slow it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like sort of like what you're saying. It sounds like to me, I'm like, this sounds like just 70s rock to me. Like this doesn't sound like it doesn't have the grittiness, because like a lot of those records were like DIY records that they were making on a 4-track.
Right.
So I just couldn't, I couldn't really get into the Pistols until I like expanded my horizons and just sort of, outgrew the whole. Did you go through one of those phases where like I only listen to punk rock music and everything else sucks?
Yeah, like because I was a huge Blink fan, like we said, because of my parents. And I remember I was always too demonstrative, Ron. Like I was like had a party with my new punk friends, and I'm like breaking my Blink CDs.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
I'm that committed, and they're looking at me like, what? Like,
Yeah.
And I remember wearing leather jackets in like Southern California summers, right? And
wow.
Like I hate conformity, man. I used to wear the skate clothes, the Dickies, and I had my etnies, and I'm over that now because everyone's such a conformist. Like I go to Hot Topic and thrift stores, I buy like heavy, stinky leather jackets, and I insist on wearing them in 100-degree weather, like to fight conformity, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like I'm actually going through the more difficult experience here.
So how long did that last you? Like, did that get you through high school, or did you go through different phases?
It was like a couple. It was a couple years, and then like 9th grade, I remember being like, you know what? It became grunge. It became all about kind of like grunge, indie, like DIY, and I was into the theater too. I should mention as a kid, like that was my kind of refuge from sports, because like I sucked at all the sports, and then I found theater in like kindergarten and was in a local theater till high school started. Then I did the high school theater. So Sarah, like a little bit like Sarah.
yeah. It's funny how we all had like a little bit of a theater background, and then
you too.
Sarah,
that's why.
Well, in high school, yeah, and then Sarah stuck with it. You and I did not.
No,
and then returned to it all these years later in life.
That's right. I mean, it's so much fun.
In the heart of Hollywood.
That's right.
All places. Like, this is the first time I've done theater since high school, and it's in front of a sold out room in the heart of Hollywood.
Right.
Like you do.
I know, not to skip ahead, but it's like when we were doing the tests on the stage, like the rehearsals, like I got that little tickle, like when you're a kid and the lights come on and it's all dark, and you're like, oh, this place is full of imagination, and we can do anything. And it came back like when we were starting Termination Fee in that room, and I was like, ooh, not to be cliche, but the magic of theater, it's real.
No, it really is a special thing. That's why I was like really hoping everybody would be in unison about wanting to continue it and still do it on stage,
Oh yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, at this point in my life, it's like the closest thing I have to playing in a band, you know?
Right.
like,
Right.
like it's like my little theater team of 3 people.
Right. And it was
So-
great because we never had to lug drums around or bass amps. It was like when we were done, we just grabbed our shit and we were
Yeah.
out of there, dude.
Yeah, just like a little bit of props and then we're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was very convenient.
Yeah.
So yeah, Termination Fee 2026, we're going to be doing something.
Yes.
Which I'm excited for. And yeah, that's fantastic. So, but getting back to you, all right. So punk rock gets you up until about 9th grade or so. Theater, which, yeah, this all sounds very, very familiar. Did you go through, like, did you have kind of like a bit of a new wave phase? Because I'll tell you, for me, junior year, and part of this was also hormones really kicking in and girlfriends and whatever. I discovered the freaking Cure, and then that was just another like mind blowing moment discovering the Cure.
I was late new wave. Like, I always loved the Cure, but just kind of the hits. Like Devo was like a new thing, a newer discovery for me. Right. I went hard, like indie. Like I went hard, like Modest Mouse, Flaming Lips.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Bright Eyes. Yeah. I started my Ween back then. So, yeah. And because I was like started in a band then too. So it was like, oh, I like this indie. I'm taking the punk with me because that enabled me to play power chords and like start songwriting because it was easy.
Yeah. Well, when did you start picking up instruments then?
I got a guitar from my grandfather that he built. And I started playing that in like the elementary school, and I was shitty at it. I wanted to be a Beatle. And then when punk came around, I kind of picked it back up and was like, ooh, like 2 fingers for a chord. I love it. This is great. I could put some distortion on. And then I started like songwriting in like middle school, early high school. And when I like got one of those little like tape machines and you could just sit for hours and come up with ideas, it was that kind of magic moment again where I was like, ooh, like I could go down this hallway forever. I remember telling my mom like once, I was like, if someone could just bring me food, I could stay in my room and just record songs all day.
Yeah, you're back.
I think it just unplugged by accident, like the
Wow.
device. So that's,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. For the sound guy here for Ron's projects, I'm sure I'm instilling a lot of confidence.
Right? Yeah. This has been a spotty. Well, it is a Saturday morning as we're recording this. So maybe it's just like we're also just both waking up or something.
Our equipment or something. Yeah, I'm going to sit completely still now to not disturb any of the wires or devices.
The mic got kicked out. We had a complete false start earlier, everybody.
Yes.
Because Drew's machine just started going haywire weirdly. But I don't know. December, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, so all right, let's go to after high school then. What happened next?
Community college forever, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to keep doing DIY shows with some of the bands that I was in.
And this was in Riverside.
This was in Riverside, yeah.
So what was the scene like there? Like was there a lot going on or?
Cool, like local little homegrown scene. There was a coffee shop that was a lot like Sacred Grounds here in San Pedro, where Ron and I are from, where it was like, this is the place where all of like the addicts can come do NA meetings. But it's also a place where in the basement, there's like songwriting clubs. There's people putting on plays. There was something called Saturation Fest, which I still think goes on. And it was like local art music fest that happened like twice a year. And so we got into the music scene and the art scene after high school. We were bad about like connecting though, we you know how it is, Ron. It's like you're socializing, you're making connections, you're meeting people, and we were potheads. So we were like, what you do is you smoke pot in your car, you go do your set, and then you leave. And you know how much that endears you to fellow performers and artists, right?
Oh yeah, other bands love it when bands do that.
Exactly, yeah. So we learned all of that. Started getting into film then as well, and yoga. Like after college, after high school, around college, and that's actually where I met my wife, is yoga teacher training. So I had like my cult. That was like my cult phase, I should say, Ron, where I stepped away from politics because I'll tell everyone I got sucked into rabbit hole of Alex Jones, right? Right out of high
I remember
school.
you told me that when we met, that you had an Alex Jones phase where you were.
Dude, I was buying gold bullion, for my family as a Christmas gift. I was the most annoying family member, Watch this documentary. Like when I come visit.
Oh, no. So you were hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, yeah. We're watching Police State 4 tonight, Mom and Dad. Like,
so how did you get out of that zeitgeist? How did you get out of like, oh, Alex Jones is full of shit most of the time? What he does, or at least what he did. I mean, I haven't seriously like watched the guy. Well, I've never seriously watched the guy. I was always like, this guy is mostly just full of shit and a performance artist. But what he will do, he'll start with like a little kernel of truth.
Yes.
But then he'll take it to this absolutely absurd place.
Right.
Like, he'll start with, hey, our media is controlled by a bunch of corporations, and that's really effed up, which is completely true. And there's a ton of like academic work about this, and it's like 100% spot on. But then he takes it into this bizarro conspiracy-lated place that diminishes the credibility of everybody else.
Right.
And that's what he does. And he's made so much freaking money doing it.
Right.
And he goes back to, I mean, people were like passing out DVDs of his and shit. Like like it's kind of
the 9/11 truthers. Remember that was like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the Ron Paul time too. So he kind of like, then I kind of went into Ron Paul, and like you're saying, I was like, yeah, like the blow, like I remember him describing blowback and talking about 9/11 and like we kind of earned some of this through our foreign policy and look at how we're surveilling people at home. I'm like, yeah, all this stuff is concerning, right? And eventually I got to Bernie, but I had to quit it all because it was like this, I don't know, it was like something I was doing that I could tell was separating me from people. Like it wasn't really building community. I could see that
that's what those people do, man.
Right?
Like they separate you from all the people and then like you just have this weird terminally online sad existence.
Yeah,
it's not just Alex Jones doing that, man.
Right,
I mean, I've lived it, not lived it, like to that extent, but like lived it as in have seen it,
right,
a lot, and it's frightening,
right?
It's really sad. I mean, these are just the modern day, or not even modern, but today's like Jerry Falwells.
Right.
And, these are just the modern day televangelists, these hyper online, and you eventually come to accept that the United States is a country that doesn't have any actual political ideology. Like it just doesn't really exist here. So you just have a bunch of opportunists 99% of the time. That doesn't mean there's not people out there doing good work in the indie media space. Of course there is, but like, people will just make shit up as they go along and just develop these really boring cults.
Right.
Like it's just
right.
It's frightening.
Gosh, if we had like a more functional society that was like less based on profit and capitalism, imagine how innovative and interesting the cults would be. Like if people were, you know what I mean? Like we were talking last night with Hank at your party and about like how the lack of community, like, right, is kind of, it's built into the system. And then these grifters come in and build this fake community, right? And it's they're working within like avenues that are kind of
right.
Like you're trying to record a podcast or do a Zoom and everything's going wrong. The cat rips the internet cable out.
Is that what happened? Your cat ripped the internet cable?
The internet turned off because I did have to reset it,
Oh, wow. So we had a bad mic. We will make this part of the episode.
Yes.
We had a bad mic cable. We had well, actually, why am I saying we? This is all you. No,
it is me. It's the sound guy.
The sound guy, the tech person, the person who was trusted with the most sacred of jobs, stage managing a theatrical production and doing location sound for a film. By the way, crushed it on both of those jobs. Did a phenomenal job. But podcast, that's just
podcast is
That's a mountain too high.
Well, podcast is notoriously the hardest medium, right? That's what they say.
Yes. It is fun. There is like beautiful irony in this. Like, oh yeah, like oh, and I forgot like did extensive QC editing, did that, no problem. Did like help the movie get through quality control, but podcast interview, that is where Drew.
Yeah.
That's the Achilles heel for Drew. No, dude, I'm weird Saturday morning, but yeah, we're getting through this.
Yes.
We're gonna do it. You're like, man, is Ron still gonna make me do this episode?
It is interesting.
Yeah, no, it makes it for an interesting episode. I feel like in any other situation it might not fly, but for like a December friend-isode, it's sort of it adds like a meta component to it.
Right.
All right.
Didn't you have real quick with was it Jethro Tull, where he was like, I'm just gonna call you on the phone, dude.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Martin Barr, when we had Martin Barr from ex Jethro Tull guitarist,
That's right.
which, dude, he dropped some freaking nuggets on that too. Like, he was really candid about like him leaving, or the Jethro Tull breakup, sort of, when like Ian Anderson and I want to have Ian Anderson on to give his side of it. Interesting enough, I interviewed Ian Anderson before, years ago, on a radio show, and so like I had what he said to me back then, and I just repeated it to Martin, who said, no, dude, that's not what went down. So we have that, but it's literally me holding my phone up to the microphone because he was just like, I'm not, this StreamYard thing, I'm not okay with it. So I'm just going to call you. And I said, all right, you're one of the most legendary guitarists at classic rock who authored one of my favorite guitar solos ever. That's fine. Whatever it takes to get you is what I'll do. So hey, sometimes that sort of thing happens, especially when it's like a one and done. This is it, 1,000. Yeah. All right. Well, here we go, buddy. You were talking about you were talking about getting out of the online cults, or kind of like how it. So, well, let's pick it up there. How did you leave the Jones universe? Was it just you looked around, you're like, oh man, I just cleared this bar out by giving my opinions, or like what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it is like that. It was like no more friends. I'm isolated to these other two people that like agree. It was my little bubble echo chamber.
No.
So what got me out of it was forget about politics, forget about all this buying gold. And I joined the yoga community, right? Oh, I joined another cult to get out of that cult. But this one was like, when I got into yoga, it was like, okay, it's not competitive. I'm doing this to get up every morning and provide some self-care to my crazy mind. And I'm here just like talking to people. We're doing stretches together. We're adjusting each other. So it's a little intimate, right? Because you're pushing and you're like touching each other. And I was like, so I went from like no human connection because of my ideas to like the purpose of yoga, which means union, right? Is like togetherness and like helping each other and like kind of being vulnerable, right? So it was another form of cult and community that helped me get out of it. But that one, our particular yoga community was much less restrictive, That's
so interesting.
I obviously didn't find it like isolating me from my family and anything like that. In fact, it was helping me get a little healthier, probably.
So then what made you decide to transition into, left is best? Which thank goodness you did, by the way.
Yeah.
Really glad you're the Drew that I know and not the Jones Drew.
Me too. And I'm glad to be. But Bill, man, it was my co-host on Baywatching podcast. You know Bill.
Bill. I love Bill.
Right?
Yeah, I love that guy. I get the biggest kick out of him.
So he actually was my echo chamber Alex Jones guy, and then he got heavily into the Model UN, working for the community college Model UN, and so he was representing.
There you go. Oh man, look at this.
We're getting there,
We are getting there. It's yeah. All right. So Bill got you out of it.
He did in like 2014 or whatever, I guess it was. He was like, come volunteer for Bernie, like let's walk. It was actually started as our congressperson fighting Ken Calvert, Mark Takano. And I believe he's in Congress now. But then we transitioned to walking the streets for Bernie. And since like 2014, I threw the Bernie hole. Like that was my leftist politics. And I that's kind of how I met Ron for the first time, because I was like BreadTube, YouTube guy, looking at Majority Report, and I saw your work,
Yeah.
That's
so, well, I mean, so you went from Jones to lefty. So I know some people who went the other way around. So it's refreshing to hear your story about going, you were an Alex Jones guy and then you got into lefty politics. And I'm glad that you landed there. I'm glad you're not going around like, well, actually this Nick Fuentes guy has some. Isn't it great how we've normalized neo-Nazis now in the United States? Isn't that just he's in like magazines and shit? It's
sitting down with Tucker. I know, I love it. Like, let's get all the old folks on Facebook into Nick.
It's so wild. And then I mean, I see people like people on YouTube who I have collaborated with, and in some cases still collaborate with, who are like just doing clickbait after clickbait about this guy, and it's like you're normalizing him. Like you're I'm not saying you can't talk about him. I mean, of course, it's like it's in the zeitgeist. It's fine to talk about. We're literally talking about it right now. Yeah. But like when you are saying like, well, technically, when you hear what he has to say about derp, it makes sense, and maybe it's like you're normalizing this fucking guy who's a Nazi.
Right.
You don't need you. There are plenty of people who might not agree with all of your politics, who might not be big lefties, but are against the genocide in Gaza. Right. There's plenty of people. You don't need to point to a neo-Nazi.
Right.
You don't need to do that. And it's, oh God, I'm the
Overton, like, entire missing side of the house, and it's no longer
not a window anymore.
Yeah, it's so nuts.
Well,
and I guess it's just that attention, right? It's like on some level it's furthering that narrative and making it more normal, but it's also just the thing that gets clicks and eyes, right? Like it's with Kirk, man, right? With the death of Kirk, even, right? It was like so many people just kind of jumped on board, and it felt like they got extreme overnight. They'd never heard of this guy, and all of a sudden they're defending this guy who is advocating for like public execution in front of children. Right. And it's like, wait, like how?
Yeah. It was wild. And by the way, when you said Death of Kirk, I started thinking about that Star Trek movie.
That is potentially worse. That is potentially more offensive.
Why did they make that decision? Not okay.
Yeah. That is also an assassination that we need to spend more time talking about in the media cycle, I think,
Have you ever listened to any of his albums, William Shatner?
Yeah, like I've heard songs like Rocket Man.
Dude. Right. His Rocket Man. I heard his. I almost said like he released something in like the early 2000s that was like sort of this cult thing on college radio, which of course is where I heard it at our little station house when I was in college. And it's actually somewhat entertaining.
Okay.
Like I was like, what is this? And someone goes, William Shatner. And I was like, you've got to, okay. He did this one track with Henry Rollins. It's interesting. And it's like, it's just like, it's very, early 2000s proto hipstery type stuff that William Shatner, I guess at the time, stumbled into.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if you had to be
all over the place in this one,
if you had to be a Shatner guy or a Nimoy guy, would you pick Shatner? Not, this is the heavily debated.
Well, it's hard because Shatner has lived long enough to do more disappointing things.
Yes.
So I feel like it's and especially since he's really put himself out there. I don't agree with everything the guy has to say about everything. You know what I mean? And he's also like 90 something years old.
Right.
So it's kind of, whereas Nimoy sort of was a little, kind of just more stayed in his lane and then, passed away before he could, say shit on Twitter where you're going, what the fuck? You know,
true.
so
That's true.
So I don't know. It's really hard. I mean, if we're going just character preference, totally Spock all night and all day.
Right.
Love me, Captain Spock. I mean, I was Spock for Halloween when I was a kid. You know, I'm all Spock all day. You know, I was always that way, man. I was the Spock guy, not the Kirk guy. I was the frickin' Han guy, not the Luke guy. And I was, you know, and that stayed with me. I feel like through my life, I'm the Mar guy, not the Morrissey guy, although there's a billion reasons to feel that way these days. And I'm, you know, like I've just always, although, you know what? I'm the John guy, not the Paul guy.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Keith and Mick, I'm like, dude, why choose? Come on. I love them both. You know, like I can't choose between those two. But I think I might lean a little more Mick if I had to choose between those two. So there it fluctuates a little bit. But but yeah. Well, what about you? Are you Kirk or Spock or Nimoy or
definitely Spock? I think Shatner's music over Nimoy's though, because Nimoy has some very interesting music too.
Yeah.
Where he's dressed up like Spock, but he's singing about hobbits, you know?
I mean, I know it exists, but I can't really speak to it other than knowing it exists. But
it's whimsical.
Okay.
You know?
That's fun. Yeah, no, I got to see his son speak not too long ago. Leonard Nimoy's son.
Yeah.
Who's like, I think he's an attorney, and he, you know, will kind of go around doing just talks about his dad, sort of, and it's very interesting. It was at like a WonderCon here in LA, and I got to see. Yeah, it was super fascinating, but fascinating.
I know the relationship wasn't necessarily easy. There's like a documentary about it, which is also very interesting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like a wild life because I mean, back then it was, you know, they were icons. Yeah. Like it was more than just you were a character in this series and then in these movies. It's like, no, it was like an iconic thing that just set the table for the rest of your freaking life. Right. And when you're born into it, you don't really have a say in the matter. And also it probably doesn't help your cause that you look like you are your dad. Like they look exactly the fucking same.
Right.
Like it's like if someone just told me, oh yeah, that actually is Leonard Nimoy. At this point in his life, I would like believe it. I would just be like, oh God, Leonard Nimoy aged incredibly well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like his son just looks exactly like him.
Right. But, Vulcans age really slow. They're like hundreds, you know, they can live to hundreds of years old.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, I guess this is legit, man. That's like
it's real.
But all right. So getting back to you, when all right, so now you're not in Jonesland anymore.
Yes.
You're burning it up. When do you go to LA?
That was it was like 2018, and I went for a program. I was doing David Lynch like meditation / screenwriting program.
Okay.
Some of which was in LA, the rest of which was in Iowa, Fairfield, Iowa. So it was a unique contrast, right? It was like a little farm town where you're meditating on this little cult, a little culty in my life.
Yeah, you always find your way to some like cult-like type things.
Yeah, and he's the Beatle. I mean, you talked Beatles a little bit. He's the Beatle guru, Maharishi. You know, and that's David Lynch's guru too. So I went to his school to learn screenwriting, and I got to hang with Lynch a few times on Zoom. So that was cool.
Nice, man.
I did it, and I thought it would be funny if I did an impression of him, like in his face, like, yes, like Mr. Lynch, like, and I snuck cigarettes into the school because you're not allowed to have like drugs. It's a meditation school. And I had my hair done like David at that time. And I said, Mr. Lynch, I'd love you to do a mental exercise with me. We did like a improv story together, but he took it all cold, like as if that was just who I was. Like he didn't react to me. I was kind of let down, and it might have just been that my impression was really bad.
Or maybe that was his way of yes-anding you. He's like he's going to be the straight man.
It could have been.
That's so interesting. Did you ever talk to him about it? Like, did it ever get brought up again?
I never got to because we were supposed to meet him at his studio in 2020. That was like the end of the program. One of the things you got to do. And then 2020 happened, right? So it was like, oh, yeah, you're not going to get around this like 70-year-old emphysema-ridden director. You know, we don't want you breathing on him. And so I didn't get to see him or ever really talk to him again, which is good, probably.
I think it would have been interesting to address it and see what he had to say, if anything. Or he just rolled with it, and that was just it.
The next time I sit in meditation, I'll ask. You know, maybe I'll get an answer.
Nice.
But yeah, so
wait, you still meditate with him?
I mean, if he's meditating still, you know, I'm not sure.
I mean, you'll ask the ethers, and maybe he'll.
Exactly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Because, you know, his whole thing was unified field of consciousness, right? In that, like, we're always there, you're always there, you're just kind of distracted from it. When you meditate, you can kind of get closer back to it. When you die, you just go back to it. So maybe he's just, like, meditating better than ever now. Like, when you're dead, you can't get distracted by your phone.
That's true. Well, not that we know of.
That's true.
As far as we know, that can't happen.
No, you're right, Ron, because I've heard there's such a thing as ghost phones.
Yeah.
So, you know, and ghost guns.
Yeah. So. Jesus. So, all right. So when did you come to LA permanently then? Like it was after the program or what?
Yeah, it was during the program, like 2 years before 2020, 2018. And then that's when I stayed here. I was continuing to band stuff, doing little film projects, doing poop work, you know, about the poop work. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll get in. I always love our origin story. So I will need to share it with everybody.
Yes. And then that's how we met. It was like, I was like, let me continue doing politics out here, trying to engage in the community. I was doing like mutual aid work all over LA and then just driving too far because LA is so big and traffic ridden. And somebody told me, look up Brian Todega's campaign. Like it's local to you, you know, it'll be, you know, you can feel like you're plugging in more to your local area and your community. And then that's how I met you. Like I think the first time.
So we met, well, and then we connected on Twitter.
Yes.
So before Twitter was a Nazi infestation, there were you could actually kind of build community on it, and it was you know, I mean, it was never perfect, but it was much better than it is now, at least. And I remember when I moved to the South Bay from Pasadena, and this was also like, you know, we were coming out of the lockdown times of the pandemic. So there was like a bit of a reset for everybody just in their lives. And, you know, like for me, I was literally in a different place. I had, you know, like just not too long ago had left a pretty sizable show at the Jimmy Dore show. I had quit that and was, you know, looking to start kind of a new and different chapter. And I was like looking to make Left at Wall at the time. I was like trying to make Left at Wall. I think I might have been amidst writing it when we met. And I connected with you. Like I reached out. I was like, are there any kind of like just, you know, weirdo filmmaker, creative type people in San Pedro? And you reached out to me and you were like, yeah, dude, I'm into, and you sent me an email too. And I remember what I remember most, like I looked into you and I'm like, oh man, this guy's into like punk music. He is, you know, he knows Brian Odega, who is the person that I'm hoping gets our city council seat. You know, he's a lefty, like, all right, we have all these things in common. And he does some film stuff. And you sent me a film that you're like, yeah, here's a sample of some of my work. And it was you just eating poop on a toilet seat. Like fake poop, but I think, yeah. And
mystery.
Yeah, and there was like this soundtrack, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then you emailed me back, and you're like, Ron, I'm so sorry, that wasn't what I meant to send you. And I go, oh, okay, maybe he wanted me to like see something else. And then so I opened this new video that you sent me, and it was just you, same video, but like in HD. And I was like, that's hilarious. I want to be friends with this guy. I was like, this dude.
You need all the shades of brown really coming through, Ron.
Yeah, and then we connected, man. And then you got involved with Left at Wall as a cast member, and then also as an editor, like you did some editing work on Left at Wall. And yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, I love that origin story. It's so funny. I've told it at like Q&As and stuff, like when we did them.
Right.
But that was dude,
the turtle head of our relationship, right? Yeah,
it was. Yes. Yeah. So, well, let's fast forward then to Termination Fee, because I kind of got like some feedback from Sarah too, which I don't know. I don't know what order I'm gonna like drop all these in, but you guys will both be dropping in December at some point. But yeah. So, what made you kind of say yes to that one?
Play the fact that it was a play, being able to get together in the garage and have this little kind of like homespun show. Oh, Termination Fee. Sorry. No,
Yeah.
did you're talking Termination Fee, not Left at Wall.
It's a play. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We did that. No, and I don't know, just reading it, liking the story, connecting to being frustrated with the state of like healthcare and big pharma and how everything's going on in this country. I don't know. I was like, this will be a fun opportunity for me to hang with my friends and do something that I'm passionate about, believe in. Was well written. I like the writer.
Thanks.
And then it also, I had been involved a little with Sarah through the movie and through comedy, so it got like Sarah and I were able to get to know each other more and get a little closer. I wanted to go originally to Edinburgh because that was our original, like one of our original plans, and that just the idea of traveling with a play sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So just all of that, really, Ron. And then the idea that we were going to maybe try to do a movie. Like I was like, I love the dual aspect of the project,
Yeah, I mean, it was when that all kind of unfolded. I that was fascinating to me too, because it's not necessarily like the most typical way to go about, a scripted story that you want on film. But I feel like there's a lane for it, and it's been done successfully many times before. I mean, you look at like, House of Yes or Virginia Woolf and all these things, and they're all like contained pieces, just like Termination Fee is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's a wild journey.
And it's just a cool way to, like, I know you've got other projects cooking up still with Termination Fee, right? That are kind of, you're capturing like the evolution of the project, like through different mediums, right? Which is cool. We were kind of using the Instagram as like a character when, you guys were going to all of like the plunges and all of the community meetups, right? We were documenting stuff behind the scenes as we went. So it was fun to see all of the different ways that this project could reach someone, right?
Well, when we finished at the Hollywood Fringe, did you have like sort of a like withdrawal period?
Oh yeah. I just
really
get a little bit of a depression.
I got a huge depression because, it was one of those things where shortly after our play wrap, that was when Lucy, my cat, passed away.
Yeah.
And I was so freaking sad. And it was weird not having anywhere to go on Tuesdays anymore because that was our rehearsal day. And
right.
Yeah, I felt. Yeah, it was so that when we started filming, that was really, really good for me because I just needed something to not dwell on it.
Right.
I just needed something where it's like I need something to keep me.
Right.
Just to keep my mind off of this.
Right.
But
you were grieving a couple things, right? Because it's like a thing that has died, like not only your cat, but just that play experience, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was sort of like summer theater camp is over, which is like, I mean, obviously that's nowhere near the magnitude of losing a pet of 19 years, but it's like you kind of feel, just a bit of melancholy from that. And then like Lucy, and I was like, oh my God, I was just, yeah. It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah.
Well, you were there. I mean, we would go for like walks on the beach and yeah, that was good. I mean, that was helpful. It made me feel a little,
It's the worst thing, man. You can't help but think about it sometimes, even with the new babies, where you're just like trying to enjoy them now, but the fact that all these pets leave before us, it's like, it's sad, but I feel like it is showing us something about love, I guess. Right.
I think so. I mean, I think that, and maybe this is just me trying to cope with it, but I do think that there is something to be said for the cat distribution system, because like, I feel like I have this theory. And feel free to jump in if you think it's absolutely ridiculous. But
okay.
I think that like people get more soft to the idea of beliefs as they get older because you're just too sad not to. And, for me, I think it's like I do kind of believe that there's something to be said. Like cats just sort of know something. They have this sort of sixth sense type thing that they know. Like Lucy somehow knew that, okay, it's my time. I gotta go because Luna and Livorno are out there, and that's who needs to be next. Like it's their time. My time is ending. Our time can't overlap. It's not going to work that way.
Right.
So it's my time so that they can come next. And
right.
I don't know. I truly, and maybe it's just like my way of coping with it because it just hurts so freaking much. But I don't know. I think there's something to it.
Yeah. I mean, there's evidence. They seem so cool and chilled out by the world. Like, so maybe they do understand there's not as much to freak out about, They're like, oh no, don't worry. Like, we're part of this slot machine process. This life isn't like the end all be all of everything, right? But have a good time, try to get more food if you can. Try to get as many treats as you can and cuddles.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like they're so, and it's mystifying. They're the only creature that domesticated themselves. That, I mean, when you look at like just history and just like, there's nothing like cats. Like there's nothing like it. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to make this a cats versus dog thing. I love dogs. It's not, but dogs, it wasn't the same thing. They didn't domesticate themselves, and they were just like bred to the point where, so okay, this is what we want for a pet. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So it's not the same thing at all. Whereas cats just were like, hey, this is how we show up. Right. And we're willing to do this. And you probably need us, just so you know. And, right. and we said, yeah, you're right. And that's it.
Right. And you're going to have to like work to understand this relationship. Whereas a dog, like you say, it's just, it's almost like cats should be the therapy animals, because you have to converse, you have to engage in a different way and think about yourself. And are these feelings I have even as legitimate, like, because the cat is going to test you, is going to make you go through all of that, where the dog's just going to be there happy, which I get a lot of us do need. We need that friend that's just happy to see us. But I think cats might be better therapists, is what I'm.
Well, and I also entertain the idea that when it comes to loyalty, cats are every bit as loyal as dogs. They just show it completely differently. Right. And you do have to like understand their personality to get what that is. And a lot of people just don't. Like a lot of people just don't. Like they think it's like, oh, I get so annoyed when, my cat knocks their toys underneath the oven or whatever. And it goes, yeah, that's their version of cleaning. That's what they are doing in their minds. Like they're cleaning the house. Right. And, when they're doing zoomies at night, they're checking for critters. It's their way of protecting you. When they're curious about your food, it's because they think you're going to poison yourself. Which I'm a little confused by that, because it's like, they trust us to feed them, yet they don't think we can feed ourselves. Right. But I guess it's like they're able to check their own food. So they're able to be like, yep, this isn't poison. Good job, human. Right. But then it's like, well, let me make sure yours isn't poison too. Like just all these quirky things about, and like both our cats will like greet us at the door. Like they're excited when we come home. And I mean, I think they're, in many ways, cats are every bit as loyal as dogs. It's just a different brand. And, you have to, like you said, understand how they do it. Right.
It takes a little work, it's more of a little more of a two-sided relationship, I guess. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's that one meme.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, there's that one meme that says, like, cats actually teach people a lot about consent.
You're right. It's the worst. We'll have little kids or our family come over, and you see how like children treat the cats, and I'm always like, oh God, like I'm so sorry, because they do not ask for consent, like these kids interacting with cats, right? Walking around like where they're their little stuffed animal, and so
well, it teaches you how, because like the cat will just like walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cat will just be like, all right, you can't handle this small human.
My nephew, Jean Paul, who he stayed over, and he's one of these guys. He's always grabbing them. He wants them to be near. And then he was sleeping, and I woke up, and I saw like the cat sitting on top of him. So I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of this to show him. I'm like, look, dude, like when you're not conscious, look how much they love being around you.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, well, they just like to do it on their terms.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I'll come to you. I mean, yeah. And then some are a little more, I mean, yeah, it's so fun, like learning their personalities. And now that we have 2 kittens, it's like we're learning their personalities. And, like sometimes, they're both black cats. So like when it's like really dark or whatever, or they're just moving quickly, it's hard to tell which is which. So it's like we can really tell them apart a lot by their personalities and the different things that they do. Like if I'm sleeping, or like my mask is on, my eye mask when I'm sleeping, if one of the cats is beside me, I'll have a pretty good shot at guessing which one it is with no eyesight involved, based on the way they're laying, based on the way they're near me, based on the sound of their purr. Because like you're learning their personalities, and it's just so much fun.
Right. They have different voices too, because our cats too. It's like, oh yeah, you can tell who's talking, right?
Yep.
Like...
it's the best. Cats. This is everything 1000. Like creative collaboration, punk rock, lefty politics, cats. This is the through line. This is everything 1000 values.
Right?
Just everything 1000. I still got to get you into hockey.
That's true. I got to
get you into hockey and soccer too. Soccer might be easier. I'm not sure.
The politics of soccer, right? Or
right, yeah.
Right?
There's like the political element of soccer around the world and stuff and even here in the States now some too. So yeah, it's like so there's that element that might make it easier. But so all right, so what made you decide to have a podcast about Baywatch?
It came on my TV.
Okay.
And I got stuck watching it. I have this thing everyone's probably heard of where there's this feature on your television that pretends like your TV is old cable, where it just plays shows and you have no control over what shows it is. And then there's also commercials. So anyway, long story short, Baywatch is the show that just started showing up on my TV. And I'm a big podcast listener, like Ron's. I'm deprogramming my Jones thing by still listening to Alex Jones' podcast, where we critique.
Now you hate listen to it.
Yeah, I hate listen. So and I just
so wild
big podcast diet, and then there's always like so many TV show podcasts. Like I watch a show, and I inevitably will find a podcast to kind of have like this experience alongside the show. And there's just all of these funny features about co-hosts, like fighting with each other. There's interpersonal drama. There's so much that's not about the show. So I was like, Baywatch is a funny, silly show. Let's do a podcast where we really do watch every single episode, but let's make it a soap opera where we expand this universe to like Marvel proportions, where there's a bunch of characters. There's ribs, we wanted to kind of just make our own show and center it around like a satire of how we saw many podcast personalities, and it enabled us to make short films. It enabled us to do like live events, but it all started really just by watching Baywatch and doing like leftist critique of each episode, where we could tie back in like something Bernie Sanders did to something Mitch did. We were going back to like reading Marx and somehow connecting that to saving people from the water. And you know what I mean? And then we got bored and we're like, let's just fight. Like, let's make it like world wrestling a little, where these characters, and it's all about who's going to win, who has the bigger ego, essentially.
It's a very meta show. There's a lot of layers to it. It's fun.
we watch every episode, unfortunately. So it's like, I mean, some episodes are literal just parody episodes. Like whatever's going on between me and my co-host Bill is like the exact conflict that Mitch and CJ are having. And then I just write with elements from our story using the exact like skeletons of the Baywatch script. So it's like that's sometimes how we justify like hitting that particular episode instead of giving it a review or critiquing it. We're like living it in our characters' dramas, you know. So yeah, it is meta. It's a little strange, but if you want to, in February, you can come to the Baywatching Podcast Ribfest Film Fest and sort of be part of it. Where we kind of, you know, we were into Rocky Horror Picture Show. We were into like Mystery Science Theater 3000. So it was like we wanted to do a live event where you could come see a band, but you could also engage in a play that was like kind of happening. Like you might get called up. You might have to choose a side between these people who are fighting, and then, you know, like wrestling, you could become involved as the audience. So, you know, that's kind of the fun of it for us, you know, is playing with people.
It's such a fun world that you guys build. I mean, I got to participate in a few rib fests, and yeah,
That's
they're
right.
a blast. Yeah. I plan to be at the next flood.
Oh, good, man. You got to come hungry. There's going to be plenty of Bill's ribs, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, then I guess let's kind of wrap here. Where can people go to learn more about you?
Yeah, you can see, you can go to Instagram, Andrew K. Saxena. You'll find all the links, all the stuff, the play stuff I'm doing with Ron is on there, all the Baywatching podcast stuff. There's links to my music, as we talked about. There's regular music and poo music. Because I met Ron, he heard the poo song, and I decided to sing to all of you about the virtues of eating poo, right? Because in this day and age, it's about all we can afford. So all my links are on Instagram. You can watch my videos, listen to my music, and see what's going on in my life. Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks so much for being part of everything. Thanks for being part of Termination Fee. Thanks for being part of Left It Wall and Frank Azurri, the vertical series we made together.
Yes.
And we also have something pertaining to cats.
Yes.
That hopefully we're going to get back to. That kind of had to go on hold because Termination Fee is front and center at the moment. But hopefully we're going to whittle away at that at some point.
Right. Get to the bottom of a very interesting mystery, right?
Yeah, very interesting. Drew, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Ron. I love you too. I'm so glad we found each other in all this craziness, man.
That was Andrew Saxena. I'm going to think a lot about his name every time I say it now. I guess I think I'm saying it the way he said the official pronunciation is. And I guess I was close. So should I stick with that, or should I just do the common consensus and say Saxena? I mean, obviously that's easier to say. Maybe I should just do it. Keep it traditional. I don't know. I'll always think about it. But Andrew does the music for this show. You know that already. And check out the Baywatching podcast. We talked about it. If you want to support the show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a give what you can, love it. You get all kinds of cool perks. Full stand-up sets not available anywhere else. We do a Zoom hangout once a month. It's a really cool community. It's for a give what you can level. And I'll tell you, I got a lot of stuff planned for 2026. There's going to be a shift here. Over here at Plaque One Productions, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. A lot of cool stuff. Termination Fee is in post-production. Andrew's part of that, by the way. Yeah. So patreon.com/Ron Placone. All right, 117. We're amidst December, the friend-episodes, if you will. Which this is a special time of year, and you kind of got to make it that way. Here's something for you. This week, call somebody you've been meaning to call. It can be a friend, family member, doesn't matter, but just give somebody a call, check in, ask them how they're doing, do it out of the blue, not a text, a call. Times like these, more than ever, that sort of thing's important. I really do think so. All right, catch you next week. Peace. Hey guys, Ron Placone here. Take your own 1,000 challenge. No, you don't need to interview 1,000 people, although if you want to do that, go for it. Your 1,000 challenge can be whatever you want. Maybe you want to call a friend out of the blue once a week. Maybe you want to read a book every month. Maybe you want to start a different garden every season. I guess that might be dependent on where you live. Look, the point of the challenge is taking on an endeavor that enriches your life in some way, and it can be measured. And then, of course, you do it regularly. That's what 1000 is doing for me, and hopefully for you too. The main reason for this podcast and every podcast I've ever done is to build community. So take your own challenge. Then join our Facebook group. It's called 1000 What's Your Challenge? ? That's 1000 What's Your Challenge ? And post about what your 1000 challenge is and the progress you're making. All I ask is that people be encouraging of each other's challenges. This is personal and vulnerable, so be cool. There's enough negativity on social media. We don't need to add to it. For those of you who aren't on Facebook, hopefully in the future we'll be expanding to places like Discord, Reddit, but for now, we're starting on Facebook. And again, that Facebook group is called 1000 What's Your Challenge? See you there.